Wednesday, February 28th. So the choice day thing, essentially it was an idea that our principal, Dr. Thorpe, came up with because she likes kids and first time we've ever done it, she just wanted to have an afternoon where kids get to play.
That's creepy.
And so the idea is that teachers we had to come up with something that was non-educational that kids could do. And so it's basically games or activities or things, and kids get to choose. You can either choose one long 2-hour activity or 2 short 1-hour activities on that day, and it's like, I think 3 weeks from today when we're doing it. On that day, you have like half-hour classes in the morning, and then after lunch, we go straight into this thing where you have signed up, and you get to pick whichever activity you want to do. You can hang out with your friends while you do it. You just sort of get to sign up. There's no homework connected to it. It's just a matter of you having fun. And it's just the idea of, once again, just trying to give kids a chance to enjoy life. So that's all there is to it. Lucas.
So is there only 2 hours left now? Since we just had lunch?
Pretty much. I mean, I don't know, ish. If you look at the clock, is coming up on 2 o'clock and we get out at 4. So yeah, it looks like math. What's up?
Are you going to station? What's yours?
I'm not telling people.
Brad.
No teacher really is, because the idea is to avoid kids signing up for it just because of the teacher. We want kids to sign up for something you want to do. And so
But that's not what I.
Oh, I just want to sign up. This is important.
How does she know what Miss Knowledge is?
Wait, what's Miss Smelling doing?
That's what I'm saying.
Dissection.
Bro, who's dissect?
Okay.
Bruh.
I never dissected food.
So we get to a lot more Brovicast as we start getting into our mythology stories. And this is where I first started sort of making Brovicast and sort of expanding from there. The quiz on Friday, you do get to use your blue sheet and white sheet. The drawback will be is the questions don't come from your blue sheet, because that would be really, really boring. When I start class each day, when I go through and like do a little review of the previous day, if you can answer those questions, you'll be good to go as far as the quiz goes. It's just sort of a review of the stories we've done. The whole goal of the blue sheet is to remind you of what happened in those stories. And yes, we lost the Charger Challenge yesterday. We dominated for most of it.
It was,
Great.
I'm not going to say names, but there's
That's good.
3 individuals.
Yeah, no, it was a team effort.
No.
And so on that one, it is, because did you volunteer for that section?
What?
Did you? Because we all had to volunteer to take over, and you guys had to volunteer for that part of it. It was a whole team.
You did trash. You got like 2 right.
There we
I
go.
was doing captain.
What's important is
And
that
actually, I told him like most of them.
I got every
answers.
single one of my categories.
yeah, let's attack each other.
I do the Starship one,
Good job.
and I do the
Who was that one
Avengers
from
one.
that such colleges? Like, that was in
Young Sheldon.
3?
Henry.
No. On our team.
Ryle.
Yeah, why did he shoot that out? Like,
Because they thought that no one, I mean,
Henry Cherry like knows every single
apparently so. Apparently they did not realize that. But yeah, that was, have you noticed, no one else on their team knew any of them, and no one on our team knew them either. We just set them up for the perfect win. It happens. Teamwork.
I knew him.
Whatever.
Alright, we knocked out the grammar quiz. Those of you taking grammar quiz in here, when you're done, just make sure your name's on it, and then you can put it on top of my desk. The rest of you, fingers crossed, I don't have to assign IXL tomorrow. But we'll see what happens.
How's it going so far?
About half so far. I haven't had a chance. 7th period in this class were the ones that had the most kids. I'm sorry. 4th period in this class had the most kids. So those will be the ones I have to grade.
Oh, that makes sense.
So far today, I've had like 4 kids pass. So I only need 11 more.
Landon still has it. Landon has.
So let's see what we remember so far. In the beginning, what was the first thing to exist?
Chaos.
Chaos. And then I even made a bigger picture of the pudding to try and help you out on that one, for those of you who like your pudding there. And then Emery, we're going to have you, if you want to sit, you can just come over and sit. I was just trying, okay, how silly. And then Chaos split to form who?
Gaia and Uranus.
I enjoy yelling that. Also known as Mother Earth, and then known as Father Sky. They have their first set of kids, and the first kids are?
Hetero charged 100-headed monsters.
That's why I hardly ever use the name Hecatona Shire. But then that's one of the 100-handed monsters. How many total combined heads?
300.
No,
100.
50.
300.
150. Nice. Hold on.
Hello?
Because how many heads does each one have?
50.
How many of them are there?
3.
Yeah, math.
Why is it
Scary.
100-handed?
And what gender were they?
Male.
All of them.
The
So,
boys.
What
Women
was
don't
the
exist.
issue with these?
They were ugly.
So what does Father Sky do?
Throw them
Throw
in
them in
the
Tartarus.
And if you didn't know how to spell it, I went ahead and wrote it up here, so I thought that might make it a little bit easier for kids. Then we got to the second race of kids.
Cyclops.
That is the Cyclops.
Are these broad teeth and stereo?
How many are there?
Three.
How many total eyeballs?
Three.
Well, three, but one piece has
Total eyeballs. Because how many eyeballs on each one? How many are there?
Three.
Just math thing again.
Hey,
3
you
times
couldn't do math
1.
either. So
Yeah. You did feel that.
And on that one, size-wise, how big were the monsters?
Up to your kneecaps.
Like right near their knee. To the knee of a normal person.
How big were the monsters?
Right below their knees. Wait.
The monsters were giant. The Cyclops went to their knees.
So you have to listen to the question. That thing we're not good at doing. And then how big were the Cyclops in comparison?
Tiny.
Up to their knee.
That's where the up to the knee part comes
Yeah.
in. Listening to the
Wait,
question.
so I have a question.
Oh.
Are the Cyclops like the size of like smaller humans? Like smaller than humans?
No, they're to your knee.
They're
They're bigger.
way humongous compared to us.
What?
Yeah.
So
It's a
let's
monster.
back up. Hang on.
Oh,
Like
just
Charizard.
How big is the monster?
Big.
How big is big?
Big.
Biggie
Like
cheese.
larger than a mountain is how big the monster was. A Cyclops that compares to the monster comes up to its knee, which means it's still close to the size of a mountain.
A big hill.
How does that compare to a human?
Oh, so the mountain is the human.
What?
A human is
Are you
not
serious?
a part of the
Wait, so
story.
they're like a hill.
Anyway,
Cyclops are bigger than humans.
Thank ya. No, not.
Yes.
Wait, what?
Okay, just.
Oh my goodness, bro. We got some silly people in here.
with this one, the Father Sky still has an issue with the Cyclops. What is his issue now?
The sword.
They threw a thingy above him.
Did we get to what happens to them?
He throws this spear
They cut his
and then
arm off.
this other thing and then it like
They cut his arm.
bang.
Good. Did we get to what he does about that?
No.
He
That's
eats.
what
It's
stopped?
pretty obvious.
No, he eats the fly.
No,
and
remember
then
you said
he gets the axe.
You
and
ended off on
What?
that.
What?
Yeah, we're all saying what to that one.
We
Did we not do that?
We did that one a long time ago. So Spear hits Father Sky, and this is where he gets upset. Those of you who can sort of look into the future, how is Father Sky going to react to being stabbed by his kids?
Cry.
And that's what he does. Rips open
Exactly.
giant hole in ground. Goes, look, kids, you're brothers. And they go, brother. And he goes, dunk, 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 and flicks each one of them in, making them gone into Tartarus. And again, they are now gone forever until later in the story. At this point, we are back to now Mother Earth and Father Sky. Years go by again, till one day, Mother Earth approaches Father Sky. She goes, hey, hon. He goes, uh-huh. What's up, woman? She goes, remember how we had those practice babies? And he goes, uh-huh. And then the second ones, those are our we're getting better at things babies. He goes, where are you going with this? She goes, I think we should have what are called keeper babies. And everyone knows the third one is the one that you want to keep. So let's have a third baby, and this is the one that we keep. And he goes, woman, if we have ugly babies again, I throw them away. And she goes, I know, we throw away ugly babies. He goes, if we have violent babies, I throw them away. She goes, I know, we get rid of all the violent babies. And he goes, and these are the last babies we're going to have. No more babies after this. She goes, I agree. No more babies. He goes, all right, let's see how it goes. He goes, oh, have you taken that class yet? She goes, no. He goes, wiggle fingers? She goes, all right, wiggle fingers. And they go, babies! And it works. And we have our third and final set of children. Father Sky covers his eyes. He's like, I'm not even going to look at him. He's like, you better describe him again. And she goes, oh my goodness, they are tiny. And he goes, how tiny is tiny? She goes, well, compared to those first babies, they're like the size of one of their pinky toes. And he's like, oh wow. He's like, compared to the Cyclops, they would come up to just past the ankles on the Cyclops. He's like, oh, well, those are much smaller. She goes, well, hang on. How many heads do they have? She goes, they have one head. He was like, oh, all right, wait. How many eyeballs? She goes, 2 eyeballs. As long as your name is on it, you can put it on the one right there. And he goes, all right, I like these. And he opens up his eyes and looks, and he's like, oh, they're actually kind of cute. He's like, I like these. She goes, well, I tried something new. He goes, is that why there's so many of them? She goes, uh-huh. Because now instead of 3 or even 6 or even 9, this time we have 12. And she said, I practiced half of them. I put brains in them. And I'm going to call the ones with brains girls. And he was like, oh, I like that idea. And so this is where the third set of children, you put your first and last name on it, right?
No.
And this is where the third set come in, good job, by the name of Titans. And again, you don't have to know all of their individual names except for the 2 in red, and we'll talk about those in just a moment. The other ones, I just looked up names so that you would have an idea of who they were, and Father Sky sees the Titans and likes them. He's like, these Titans are actually, I like these kids. He's like, these are definitely the keeper children. Let's not get rid of them. And she's like, I agree. And the Titans go, what do you mean get rid of us? And he's like, shh, don't worry about that. That'll be later. And things are pretty good. The Titans immediately want to thank Mommy and Daddy for keeping them around, so they decide that they are going to build a giant palace so that they can be really close to Father Sky, yet still be in contact with Mother Earth. So where are they going to build their palace?
On a mountain.
On top of a mountain. And they name this place that they build,
Mount Olympus.
and this is where Mount Olympus gets created. Each of the original Olympians decides they want to create their own throne or chair to sit in, and then that way they can talk to their parents. So how many thrones are they going to make?
Whoa.
This is why there's 12 thrones on Mount Olympus from these original 12 Olympians. And now that we have our original 12 Olympians, Father Sky and Mother Earth finally get to live in happiness, the Titans get to live in happiness, and everything is perfect. Till one day, Mother Earth calls up her 6 sons to Mount Olympus. She goes, sons, can you come up here? I need to have a conversation. And they come up to Mount Olympus and they go, yes, Mumsy, what's up? She goes, so I was talking to some friends. And they go, uh-huh. And I heard about these things called, what do they call them? Grandbabies. And I would like to have some grandbabies. And her sons go, done! Where can we buy them? She goes, no. Apparently you can't buy them. You're going to have to learn to wiggle your fingers, and you're going to have to make me some grandbabies. And they go, oh, okay. She goes, you're going to need to get married and start getting me some grandbabies. So her 6 sons get together and create a website called Tinder. And they decide to start looking around to find themselves some dates. And they start swiping. But it turns out after 6 swipes, the app is empty because there's hardly anyone to choose from. Turns out there's only 6 people that they get to choose from. Because who is it the brothers have to marry? Their 6 sisters. And so each brother picks the hottest sister and gets married so that we can create grandbabies. And they call this new land Kentucky. And now we start populating the world with all of these little grandbaby titans, and then the grandbaby titans find other grandbaby titans and make these things called great grandbabies, and then we have even more great grandbabies, and it keeps on going down from there. The reasons I don't have these paired up is I could figure out through the stories who matched up there. The ones down here, I never found good explanations for which ones paired up, and I didn't want to give you false information, so I don't know how they paired up. Those up there, I can figure out those couples. That's the only couple we're really going to care about here in a moment. So now, we have our whole land, and we have all of these titans running around. Father Sky is happy. All of the titans are happy. Mother Earth is not happy. Turns out she's still bothered. She's sad because she misses something. What does she miss?
No, the kids that teach
Her husband.
She doesn't miss her husband. He's right there. But her old children. She misses, she is one that she thinks ugly babies need love too. It's the same thing my mom told me growing up. And she says violent babies need love too, and so she wants to have her original babies back. But who's stopping her? Father Sky. So if you want to get your babies back, and your husband keeps stopping you, how do you solve this problem?
Kill him.
I like how you problem solve.
Overthrown him.
And so she decides to have her husband killed. Problem is, she doesn't have any arms. And apparently it's really hard to kill somebody without any arms. because she's a planet Earth, and so it's hard to have arms with, yeah, I know.
Volcano.
So she decides that she is going to hire the very first assassin. And so she starts putting out word and calls up one of her sons, a guy by the name of Iapetus. And she calls Iapetus up to Mount Olympus, and he comes in and he goes, yeah, Mom, what's up? He's like, are you needing more of these grandbabies? She's like, no, we got enough grandbabies. But there's another problem. He goes, what's the problem now? She goes, well, what are your thoughts on becoming king of all the gods? He's like, oh, that'd be awesome. Wait, isn't Dad king of all the gods? She goes, he is. What are your thoughts, hear me out, on killing your dad? And he's like, I don't want to kill my dad. I love my father. She goes, oh, JK, that was a trick. You passed. Good job. I would never want your father killed. That's silly. You can leave now and then send in your brother. And he goes out, and in comes Cronus, and she has the same conversation. Cronus turns her down. So then she goes to Cronus, and then goes to Hyperion, then goes through each brother, and each brother turns her down till she gets to the last one, a kid by the name of Cronus. And in comes Cronus. And he's like, yeah, Mom, what's up? You keep talking to all my brothers. Why do you want to talk to me? She goes, how would you like to be king of all the gods? And he's like, that'd be great. What about that? She goes, I know, your father. What are your thoughts on killing your father? And Cronus goes, sounds like fun. When should I start? She goes, what? He goes, I'd love to kill Dad. I'm free right now. You want me to do it now? She goes, oh, well, that was really good of you. He's like, yeah, let's do this thing. I want to be king of the gods. She goes, well, here's the deal. I want your father overthrown and killed so that I can have a new king of the gods, because you have brothers that are trapped in a pit, and I want your brothers freed. And he's like, oh, done. Kill Dad, free my brothers? On it. How do I go about doing this? Because, Dad's a god. She goes, agreed. So I'm going to create for you a special weapon called a scythe.
How do you spell that?
And so she creates for him, watch this,
Oh
creates for this thing called a scythe. And she goes, it's made out of this special metal called adamantium. And if you are a Marvel movies fan, there is a character by the name of Wolverine who has little claws that go sneaky sneaky. His whole skeleton was made out of adamantium, which is a reference to Greek mythology. She goes, this special metal called adamantium is the only thing that is known that can pierce the skin of a god. Using your scythe, what you can do is you can chase your dad and stab him. And then every time that you stab your father, if we can do enough damage to him, then we can chase him off the edge of the earth and make him disappear forever. He's like, perfect. I like this plan. I'll happily do it. Cameron?
Is that like the thing that they're gonna do for
It's very similar to, yes. It's also what they use in Fortnite too, which is why I used the picture up there.
did they believe that the earth was flat? Because
Yep.
they said chase them up.
You are correct. Kyrie Irving was the smart man. He said the earth was flat and he was ahead of his time.
No, he's
So he goes, all right. So he goes, well, how am I supposed to reach Dad if he's way up in the sky? How am I supposed to attack him? She goes, well, every day your dad comes down to give me a hug. And when your dad comes down to give me a hug, that's when you attack. What time of day does the sky hug the earth?
Like when the sun
I mean,
sets.
midnight.
Let's just go with nighttime.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's supposed to be
When
when the
the
sky
sun
comes
sets.
down. So at nighttime, she goes, that's when you're going to attack him. He goes, done. So he goes and hides behind a mountain and waits for Father Sky to come down. That night, Father Sky comes down to Mother Earth and is like, give me some loving, and comes to give her a hug. And when he does, Cronus then pops up from behind a mountain. He's like, hey, Dad, how you doing? And Uranus is like, I'm okay. What's behind your back? Cronus is like, just a sharp, pointy stick. And Uranus is like, yeah, that's real creepy. So I'm gonna leave and just take up. And Uranus turns around to run, and Cronus goes, oh no, you don't! And takes off chasing his father. Every time he jumps off the top of a mountain, he jumps into the air and swings and cuts a huge chunk out of Uranus. Every time he cuts a chunk out of Uranus, these chunks fall to Earth. And when the Earth and sky combine, it creates new creatures. Some of them are going to end up being gods that show up here. Others of them are going to be monsters that show up in other stories, or just random creatures. And he keeps if you've ever played Super Mario Brothers, you have to like run and like, just imagine instead of hitting a brick, you're stabbing your father. Best game ever. And he goes and yoink, stabs his father, then yoink, stabs his father, and eventually he's yoink, stabbing his father until he gets his dad all the way to the edge of the earth. And his dad is doing the whole like windmill hands. He's like, and as he's doing that, Cronus is coming at him going, choppy, 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 choppy. And he gets all the way to the final choppy, and then right before it makes contact, Uranus goes, wait! And Cronus goes, yeah, what's up? And Uranus goes, before you try to kill me, I have something for you, a present. And Cronus goes, oh, I love presents, what is it? And Uranus reaches into his pocket and goes, a curse! And he throws a curse at Cronus and goes, I am king of all the gods, and you are my child, and you are overthrowing me. So I curse you, so that one of your children is going to overthrow you and take over your kingdom. And then one of their children is going to overthrow them. And as long as my bloodline is a king of the gods, you will be overthrown by one of your children. I make it so. Curse! And Cronus goes, no, not a curse. Oh wait, don't care, you're going to die. And jumps at his father one last time and swings, and right before it makes contact, Uranus turns and jumps off the edge of Mother Earth, escaping death but disappearing forever, and flies off into outer space, never seen again in all of Greek mythology. He is never heard from again. At this point, Cronus is now the new king of all the gods. And he goes back up to Mount Olympus, tells all of his brothers and sisters, I am your new leader. And they go, all right. And if your question is, Mr. Broviac, did he just kill this guy? Uh-huh. Then what's up there? And the answer is, I don't know, stepdaddy sky. So all we know is that the sky's gone and it's replaced with more sky because things are going to be confusing. We'll get you in a second, Nyla. So now that he has become king of all the gods, Mother Earth reminds him of why he did this in the first place. Because what was the whole point in him overthrowing his dad?
To become
To
king.
get his children back. And she reminds him, hey, now that you're the king of all the gods, you need to go free all of your brothers. And he's like, oh yeah, where are they? So I can go get them out. She goes, well, there's this place called Tartarus, and there's this big tunnel that's going to take you down there. Once you get down there, there's like these big double doors. Throw open the double doors, free your brothers. I'll finally have all my kids together, and I can finally be happy. And Cronus is like, great idea. Done. I'm on it. And down he goes. Gets down to this big pit, finds Tartarus, throws open the double doors, walks in and goes, my name is Cronus. I am the new king of all the gods, and I am here to, holy crap! And he looks and he's like, what? What are those? And Mother Earth goes, those are your brothers. He goes, wow, those don't look anything like me because I just threw up my mouth looking at them. She goes, I know, they're adorable. He goes, no, they are not. Looking at those makes the inside of me want to become the outside of me. So because of that, there is no way I can free those things because we'll spend the rest of our lives throwing up. I say we renegotiate our deal. She goes, what do you need? He goes, how about a better idea? I leave them in there, and I just shut this door, and then I just run away and pretend I never saw them because those things are horrifying. Mother Earth goes, no, that's not. He goes, I can't hear you, running away, and leaves all of their children trapped down there. So now she got rid of her husband, replaced him with her son just to free her kids, and he refuses to free her kids. And so the big ugly monsters and Cyclops remain trapped down there. But now Cronus is the new king of all the gods. Nyla?
What was the tool you used again?
Yes. And, good stuff again. Yeah, on those things, yeah, I'm not going to keep going back over it. That's why I had it up there on the giant
It's a
screen.
Skype.
Yeah, you'll just have to
Sight.
later ask someone later on that one. Silly kids. So this time, you should have all of the first column done. We are now moving on to second column with the next part of our story for today.
Yeah.
Now we move over to this side.
I put for 12.
Good job.
I put the one for the curse.
Okay.
I
It
did
says
so.
what precautions Cronus ate to keep his children. We haven't even got to
Oh, okay.
What? Reading and paying attention? That's cray-cray.
question wrong.
Oh, you had me at reading. So at this point, Cronus is now the new king of all the gods. But the problem for Cronus is he loved playing Fortnite. He did not want to have to play solos. He was like, the only way to really play Fortnite is with a full squad. So he decided he was going to need to get 3 more people so that he'd have a full squad when he would play. So he brought in 3 other guys that he could play with on a regular basis. One became his best friend in the world, a guy by the name of Prometheus.
Oh, God.
Prometheus, the reason he was best friends with Cronus is Prometheus had a superpower. His superpower is he was super smart. He is going to be the smartest Titan to ever live throughout all of Greek mythology.
Just like me.
And the reason that made him super smart is he could actually see into the future. It's what the word Prometheus means in Greek. Methi means to think, and pro means forward or ahead. So it meant that he could think ahead or see ahead, and he could see the future. He could sort of rub his temples and be like, no. You're going to lose points for talking. Like, what? How did you know? And he could see right into the future along those lines. It was great for Fortnite because he always knew where the storm circle was going to be, and Cronus loved him. Prometheus had a twin brother who would always hang out with him. His twin brother's name was Epimetheus. And Epimetheus was the exact opposite of Prometheus. And Epimetheus also had a superpower. His superpower was...
Strength. No.
He's super dumb.
There you go. He was the god of 7th graders. And Epimetheus was super dumb. Again, Methus means to think. Epi means backwards. And so he only thought backwards.
That's not a superpower.
Agreed. So here's the issue. Epimetheus wasn't necessarily dumb. It's that he could not see the future. And Prometheus could see the future. Before you freak out and you go, Mr. Broviak, I can't see the future. Does that make me dumb? The answer is no. You guys are dumb for completely different reasons. Because you... Thanks to you. Because you guys actually can see the future. There's actually an experiment I can have you do where you can prove to yourself that you have the ability to see the future in ways that Epimetheus couldn't. Let me walk you through this experiment. Now, some of you have varying levels of being able to see the future. When you go home today, go into your house, and you're going to find a room in your house called a kitchen. In the kitchen, you should have a large box in there that's usually black or silver called a stove. The stove is going to have these little dials on the front of it. Pick any dial you want and just give it a good spin. You'll know you've won this game because the winner's circle will appear on the top of the stove. Once you find your winner's circle, you need to put your hand on the winner's circle. That's how you know you have activated the winning circle. And you take your right hand, slap it onto that winning circle. You might smell bacon. That's fine. After you begin to smell bacon, you're then going to pull your hand off. And then you're going to take your left hand and you're going to slap it onto that same winning circle. Here is where your ability to see the future comes in. For some of you, after you pull your right hand off, before your left hand makes contact, you're going to have a moment where you go, oh God, no! Because you know pain is going to happen. If you can know that that pain is going to happen, that's seeing the future. Some of you are so good at seeing the future, you won't even have to put your right hand on there. As soon as you activate the winning circle, you're going to start going, that's you seeing the future. Some of you can see the future so much that right now you're going, I'm not an idiot.
No,
Why
that's
would
just common sense.
That's called... The problem is, Epimetheus could not do that. Epimetheus could not see into the future. For Epimetheus, he would take his hand, slap it on there and go, oh, God, ooh, oh, man, ooh. And it would just be over and over and over again because there is no seeing the future for him. For others of you, there is seeing the future. Like for Lucas, he got to see into the future and see the fact that if he sues me, he gets all of 10 cents. And he was like, that was totally worth me losing both my hands to get the 10 cents my teacher has. I wish I could have seen the future. Hashtag Epimetheus is my god.
Nah, I'm finna get 10,000 V-Bucks out of you.
Totally. 10,000. Is that like $100? Wow, look at at you with both your hands. I can't wait to see you playing Fortnite. I got 10,000 V-Bucks and no hands. That's the best deal ever. Hashtag Epimetheus is my god. And then the last one that fills out their group
I can live my toes.
is their older brother, a guy by the name of Atlas.
Is that one of my baseball bats called Atlas?
Uh-huh. So Prometheus was super smart. Epimetheus was super dumb. Atlas is going to be...
Right in the middle.
She's
He
not
was
like
like
average.
there, man.
He was super average. No.
Athletic.
I'm gonna write this on.
I told you, bro.
That's athletic.
That's what my baseball bat's called
Epimetheus
Atlas.
is my god.
because,
And so
I'll be carrying the
Atlas was
Atlas.
super strong. He was the one that we'll see in the story that is like holding the world on his back. In the story that they read to us in the library about the kid who like knocked down the statue and it rolled down and smashed.
What?
It was
What?
talking about
What?
Atlas.
What are you talking about?
Ungifted, bro. None of us don't want to
What was that?
Remember, hashtag Epimetheus is my god. And so it's also why your baseball bat is called Atlas, because it's supposed to be Atlas was the strongest titan to live. So that was the smartest titan, the dumbest titan, the strongest
That's
titan.
probably my ancestry too.
Wait, so who's the weakest titan?
You. Oh. Not me. I'm Atlas.
I'm actually not a titan.
I know. So now
I
the
beat
three
people
of them
up.
have joined Cronus, and things go pretty well with him being the new leader. Except, turns out, Cronus has anger issues.
Just like me.
And whenever he would lose at Fortnite, and he would get eliminated by someone using the Ranger pistol, and he would start to rage, he would turn around and start punching gods. Problem is, when you're a leader, you can't just go around punching people.
Yes, you can.
As our Honor Society kids have found out, we have to hold you to a higher standard. So
It's okay,
Prometheus
Nori.
goes and talks to Cronus and goes, "Hey buddy, you know how when you get really mad and you lash out and start punching other gods?" And Cronus is like, "Yeah, so much fun." He's like, "Yeah, you have to stop doing that. You can't do that if you're king of the gods." And he goes, "Well, I need some way to process my anger. So if I can't hit other gods, what am I supposed to do when I'm mad?" So Prometheus comes up with a compromise. He goes, "Instead of hitting other gods, why don't we come up with, I'll create little miniature gods. And then when you get angry, you can come down to Earth and just run around and smash these little gods instead."
that's crazy.
He's like, "Oh, you do that for me?" Prometheus is like, "I got your back, buddy." He's like, "You know what? I'll even make them extra squishy. So when you get mad, you can come down and go stomp, 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 like they get between your toes. It'll be all kinds of great." And Cronus is like, "That is awesome." So Prometheus volunteers to make this race of little tiny gods. And we're going to call this race of little gods humans. And this is where humans come in. To make them, Prometheus ends up using dirt and water and combining the dirt and water together to make mud.
Genius.
And the first humans were made out of mud. You guys are not made out of mud. You are a later generation of
Are you
humans
sure?
we're going to talk about later.
No,
Now,
we're Gen
for
Z.
some of you, your brains are made out of mud, but that's a whole different story
No.
that we'll get to. And he makes this first race out of mud, and Cronus loves them. Whenever he gets angry, he comes down to Earth, gets a couple of the humans, and stomps on them. He's like, "Oh, it feels so good." And for the most part, it works out pretty well. We don't create any women yet. He only has created guys, because again, they're easier to make. And with this first race of guys, when the way he does this, he squishes out like the little mud people, and it thought that he was just sprinkled like magic powder on them, and they kept, "I'm a real boy," and then danced around, and they became this first race of humans that ran around, and they were happy. During this time period, women had not been created yet, so there was no drama and there was no evil yet, which was a big thing. We also had not invented winter yet, so it was summer non-stop. So you basically just had a bunch of dudes running around, kicking back, relaxing, having a good time. This was actually called the golden age of mankind, because at this point, things were going pretty well for them.
What if they have
Until
Lamborghinis and Ferraris?
one day, remember that curse that was put on Cronus?
Where he's gonna get overthrown.
So he didn't go around and tell any other god about this curse. He figured it's none of their business. He didn't even tell his own wife about the curse for fear that things bad would happen. Now, if you know one of your kids is going to overthrow you, how would you prevent yourself
Not
from
have kids.
Look at you being a smart one. It's like someone saying, hey, if you pick up that pencil, you're going to die. And you go, this pencil? They're like, well, that kid's dead. So, same thing. Except Cronus, again, not having a brain, not a girl, not real smart. And this all goes great until one day his wife Rhea shows up with news. And she goes, honey bun, guess what? We're going to have a baby. And Cronus realizes this is not good because bad things are going to happen. Tomorrow, we're going to find out what happens with Cronus and his babies.
We're about to die.
What?